Hey guys, it's Perry here with another exclusive Collider interview for you right now, and this is a special one for a number of reasons. One, I am a big fan of the marvelous Miss Maisel. I am so excited to be sitting next to Michael Zegen, who is phenomenal in the show, but he's also a Collider fan. Sorry, is it okay that I just put you on the spot like that?
Sure. This is a dream come true. Yeah.
I think your only failure is that you've never seen my Easter Peeps article.
I must have read it at some point. I swear, I'm a diehard Collider fan, so I read it all.
You really shouldn't have read that one, though. It's okay.
Okay. Well,
So
I'll look it up, though.
I wanted to start a little going back to the beginning for you, because I just like hearing about what inspires someone to jump into this crazy industry that you're in. Was it any particular, a TV show, a performance in a movie, a stage production that really said to you, I gotta be doing this?
I'm a huge fan of TV in general. My parents like TV. They say that they don't, but they do. And I grew up watching a lot of TV, and we grew up going to theater because I grew up right near New York. I'm from New Jersey, so we went to shows, every other week for the most part. But yeah, I mean, I'm a child of the '80s, and I think that movies were at their peak during that period of time. You had all the Spielberg, you had, Ghostbusters. So I grew up watching Goonies. Like Goonies was it for me. That was my favorite. I watched that every day. Every day I watched Goonies. So I think that really did get me into it. It was like, I want to be, to be honest, I didn't just want to be in a type of a Goonies type of movie. I wanted to be in that movie, somehow I would insert myself into that movie. But yeah, I wanted to make movies like that. I wanted to, that's always been the dream.
So I have to ask you now though, but I like when movies and shows kind of inspire me to play scenarios out and wonder how I would fare in a certain situation. Yeah. Just for the Goonies in particular, right. Where would real you be in that group of friends?
I definitely came up with a character at the time, when I was a kid. I don't really remember what that character was, but he was probably a cross between Mikey and Mouth.
Okay.
But yeah, that movie was everything for me. I loved it, and I that and E.T. and Ghostbusters, like I said, these are the movies I remember seeing in a theater and just being, that was it. I was just sucked in.
It's a good bunch of titles to name drop.
Yeah,
there.
I mean, there's more. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I mean, all the classics.
Of course.
Karate Kid, even. I love Karate Kid.
Back to your parents really quickly. Have you shown them a lot of the stuff that you work on, and has that changed their opinion on TV at all?
Well, they've seen everything. They don't, they've literally seen everything. They even stuff I don't tell them that I'm in. They're like, I watched this movie and you were in it, they do their homework. So, I think at first they weren't really thrilled with me becoming an actor, but things worked out, and they're not really on my back anymore about having a backup plan.
It's understandable. It's a tough industry to make it in, and
of course.
It is. I always think that it's one thing to say I want to be an actor, and it's another thing to say, oh, I am an actor. This is my profession. Do you remember what the gig was that kind of switched that over and made you believe it was the real deal for you?
I kind of started working pretty soon after I graduated college, so I got lucky. I started working on the David Letterman show, and I did a character called Dwight the Troubled Teen, and it was really that it allowed me to kind of survive in New York. I needed money for things like food, and I didn't have to ask my parents for any money. Not that I ever really did, but I didn't, and that kind of eased the tension. They were like, okay, he's okay. So yeah, I mean, I think that was the turning point. That was when they were like, all right, he's okay.
Very randomly, because I'm a really big Sopranos fan, and I saw you had one Sopranos credit on your IMDb page. Do you remember shooting that episode?
What, do you think I forgot it? Yeah, of course.
Well, I mean, what was it like? Were you kind of just
amazing.
Floored to be there at that point in your career?
Yeah, and it was such a small part, and it was 2 lines, but I really, to me, that was I remember when I did it, I was like, wow, you made it, man. You're doing it.
Do you remember the lines?
Yeah, I said, so my character, I'll set up the scene for you. My character, party goer number 1, I show up to some party that AJ is having, and like I didn't pay for a cup, so he says to me, "You didn't pay for that cup," but I'm like. Oh no! He goes, "Where'd you get that cup?" And I go, "At the back at the athletic department." I guess because cup, the thing. Yeah. I think that's what the line was. I'm not really sure, actually.
I really just like that you remember it because like those beginning experiences are super important. It's like I make fun of the Peeps article, but that's where it all started. And being in this industry is so important.
The Sopranos is nothing to joke about.
Not at all.
No, and it was at the time. It was my favorite show. It was my parents' favorite show. So. That was pretty amazing. And I know even for that small little part, I auditioned for David Chase. So yeah, it meant a lot. It really did. That was the first time I really like got a call saying you got the part. With Letterman, it was like an audition where it was like 50 kids and they just whittled it down, that night. It was just like they would send people home and I was still left. There was like 3 of us and we had to audition in front of the writer's room and then they told me I got it. So it wasn't like that agent calling you. But yeah, no, that was a big deal. Despite the fact that it was such a small part, it was such a big deal for me.
So the next many years later, big deal is Marvelous Miss Maisel, which I saw it and I knew it was something special, and I can't believe what you guys managed to accomplish in season 2 after keeping setting the bar so high in season 1. But back when you first kind of accepted the role, did you have that special feeling? Did you know that this had that extra spark?
Well, first of all, I didn't accept anything. I wanted that so badly. It wasn't like, will you do this? Sure. No, I wanted this part more than I've ever wanted anything before, I think. And yeah, I knew. I mean, the reason why I wanted it was because I knew how special it was. And I read the pilot, and I saw the time period, and I saw Lenny Bruce and how funny it was. It was so funny, and I have to be honest. I never really watched Gilmore Girls. I still haven't watched it. I watched like 5 minutes of one episode, and there was a scene where, it was one of the oneers that we do, where there's no cuts. It just follows the characters. And I saw one episode where they're like walking through an office and all the cubicles, and they're like talking and making a right here and making a left there, and I was just having a panic attack. So I don't think I should be watching that, even though I know that we have to do that stuff, but it kind of just makes me nervous.
So much of that.
I know.
I was just rewatching all right, so spoilers for anybody who is not fully caught up on the show, but I was just rewatching the last episode of season 2, and just, I mean, in particular, it's like when you're moving around the office, is it constantly in your head, I have to hit this specific mark at this point? Because there's also so many 360 camera moves, and I can't imagine delivering my lines and also making sure that I'm in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, it's a dance. It's we show up, and there's usually no rehearsal or anything, and sometimes they don't tell you. Oh, most of the time they don't tell you that this is all going to be one shot. Like the baseball scene, they never told us that was all going to be one shot.
That is a long scene for one shot.
It's actually even longer. They cut like a section off the end. So yeah, little spoiler.
Is there movie magic in that too? Because I don't even understand how there's a camera in front of you and you're hitting baseballs in that direction.
Yeah, well, so whenever the camera was in front of us, we had to throw the ball up and miss. And they added that in. I don't know if I'm supposed to say
artists
that, but
just need all the applause in the world, because I love that kind of stuff. So I am always looking for little details like that. And you don't see a shred of what you just explained.
I know. Yeah, it's pretty incredible. They just painted away the ball on the ground. They just painted out. But yeah, they don't even tell you. Amy, I remember she was setting up the shot and we were rehearsing it, and I was like, wait, is this a oneer? And she was like, maybe. And and I love it. I do. Despite the fact that I watched Gilmore Girls and started panicking, when I know that it's me doing it, it feels like theater to me, and so I love it. It's nerve-wracking, but it's also exciting. And like there was one scene in season 2 where I'm walking with Kevin Pollak, and we're walking through the factory, and we block it that morning. We come in at 6 whatever, and we start figuring out, and the cameraman, our cameraman Jim McConkey, he's figuring out where he has to be, and we block it all out, and then we just do it until you get one. And all you need is one. All you need is one good take. But But it is nerve-wracking because you know that if you screw up a line, you have to go back to the beginning. But still, there's no pressure really because you have a good amount of time to get it right.
It's so impressive that you guys pulled that off. Speaking of The Office, though, I did want to ask about one specific prop.
Yeah.
Because the vertigo...
Which is the office scene that you mentioned?
I think I was mostly thinking about when he's just walking from the main factory floor into his personal office.
Okay.
Like it's just, one of those camera moves that I'm like, wow, if one person steps the wrong way, or if, I don't know, someone on the crew is in the wrong spot, the camera's spinning around and you never
happens.
know.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
That's where VFX comes in handy again.
Yeah, right.
But I wanted to know about the Vertigo poster. Does that have any specific meaning to you, or is that something that, the set designer just put up there?
Yeah, I don't know. No, I don't. I know exactly what you're talking about. But yeah, that was just something that was just there when they built the set. And there's actually a Bix Beiderbecke poster, who's a jazz musician who I really like. So that was cool for me. So
I also wanted to talk a little bit about season 3. I know you can't say too much, but can you speak at all to the director lineup that you have? Is it all the returnees from the last 2 seasons?
Yeah. Amy and Dan pretty much switch off. Mm-hmm. And there's one episode directed by Dan Attias, who's kind of a prolific TV director. He's done a lot, including Sopranos. So yeah, I mean, usually there's only maybe one guest director per season. And that's, I think, typically because Amy and Dan kind of need to catch up with writing and, figuring out where they're going to film, scouting and whatever. So it's just... There's a lot, but they still switch off. Dan, I think, did like 3 episodes in a row this last time, or 2 episodes. He wrote, it's nuts. It really is. It's nuts. I don't know how they do it because they write as they go along. So it's not all written before we start shooting. It's like, the first episode's written, and then they have to kind of keep up. But they do. I think they've been doing it for a long time, and this is how they operate, and it works. Considering how they operate, is there any instance in the past where you kind of pictured a specific trajectory for Joel, and then when you got the script for upcoming episodes, it was something entirely different? Well, I mean, I still don't know what his trajectory is. I don't know. I didn't know in the first season, there's the scene towards the end in the last episode where he beats up the guys and, says she's good. Yeah. I didn't know that was coming. I didn't know that he was going to have that redeeming scene. I never asked for them to like redeem him. It was a surprise, and it was a really beautiful surprise. I loved it. But yeah, I don't know anything. I don't ask. I like to be surprised. I just like reading their scripts and not knowing what's going to happen. It's exciting for me. Rachel tries telling me stuff. Like she does. She does she have all the secrets? Not all the secrets for sure, but she asks. She likes to ask them what's going to happen, and then she'll try to tell me. I don't want to give away anything. I mean, certainly not for season 3, but at the end of season 2, at the very end of season 2, there's this scene. Well, I mean, if you haven't watched it by now, people need to catch up because people need to put the 3rd season on the calendar. Right. December 6th, don't forget. But there's the scene, where she comes to my office and we have a little makeout session, and Rachel kept trying to tell me what was going to happen. I was like, don't tell me, just don't tell me. And then when I got the script, she was telling me that like at the end something good happens. And when I got the script, I'm reading, and I'm like at the end, and there's like 2 pages left. And I was like, what the hell was she talking about? Like I'm not even in it anymore. And then there's that thing. So that was a welcome surprise. Are you guys at the point where everybody out there, when you do these interviews, is pronouncing Maisel right? No. That was just like breaking my heart the more that I watched. Oh yeah. No. Maisel. Yeah, no. Maisel is the one that I think I saw the most. Oh really? Yeah. No, heard the most. Maisel. People still say, they're like, I'm such a fan of Mrs. Maisel. And I'm like, well, you're not that much of a fan actually. No. But no, it's okay. I don't care. Wait, now, okay. So I'm going to see you again so we're taping this a little early, admittedly. I'm going to see you again in New York for the proper junket. Okay, cool. Very curious. What is the question that you guys have all gotten the most about the show? And is there anything that you're itching to talk about that no one's really asked you at this point? I don't know. So many people ask about the baseball scene. I mean, like on the street.
Yeah.
You know, people ask about that one all the time.
There's something very satisfying about like the pitch perfect crack of a baseball bat, like hitting the ball perfectly. I don't know, something about that always gets me. So that scene, like I feel the satisfaction of that by watching it.
Yeah. In terms of like character, you know, people ask like, oh, what, you know, are you? Well, people always ask if we're gonna get back together. That's
Can't give away the secrets though.
No, of course not. But that is the number one question. People always ask, like, are you guys getting back? Even my 6-year-old niece asked me the other day. She's like, are you guys gonna get back together? I was like, I can't tell you I can't tell her. She's 6. She'll tell all the other people in her first grade class. So no, but what do I want them to ask? I don't know.
Or maybe if you had the opportunity to ask your co-cast a question, what would it be and why?
I don't know. I mean, just like, is this? You know, somebody like Tony Shalhoub, I would ask, like, is this like the best job you've ever had? Because I think it is. So, I don't know, you know, like, cause he's worked in so many things, but he looks like he's having so much fun.
He really does.
Yeah. So, but Kevin Pollak told me that this was the best job he's ever had, and he's prolific too. So, I don't know what I would ask, but
I would believe it. There's something about the energy of the show and like the love of the family and love between the characters that's infectious. It just like, it's a show that it has some really deep moments, but it just leaves you happy. Mm-hmm. Leaves you happy and feeling good.
And hopefully nothing changes because we're all having a great time.
I believe it's in a good spot right now. I'm rooting for you guys. I wanted to do, before we wrap this up, I'm going to give you a little Abe Wiseman interrogation right now. So rapid fire. I'm removing his religion and politics question, but I'm going to start with, what are your hobbies?
Acting. I like baseball. I like watching baseball. I don't know. I don't have too many hobbies. I like TV. You know, does that count as a hobby?
I think that counts as a hobby. You're a TV
like watching
fan.
TV. Yeah, I do like watching TV, and I like theater. I like going to the theater. But like if I had to choose a hobby that I'm not already partaking in, I think metal detecting, because I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos of these guys with their metal detectors, and they find old coins, and I just find it so fascinating.
That's so random, and I kind of love it. Yeah. Like, I want to try it now.
It goes back to my Goonie days.
That makes a whole lot of sense. I think I'm a little Data and Mikey, so if there was some sort of gadget that I could use in order to solve something, I would be all about it. So Abe's next question is, what percentage of time are you spending on your hobbies?
Oh, well, if it's TV, it's probably like 90%, unfortunately. But
wait, what shows are you really into right now?
You know, I'm trying to think. Well, I just watched the first episode of The Mandalorian.
Ooh.
Yeah, I liked it.
You liked it? Okay.
Yeah, I did. And I just finished this show. You probably haven't heard of it, but it's on Netflix. It's this Israeli show called Shtisel. And it's about a Hasidic family living in Jerusalem. And it's pretty incredible. It's like one of the most incredible shows I've ever seen.
I'm gonna put it on the list.
Yeah, you should.
Okay.
It's something I think everybody can enjoy. It has subtitles. You know, you got to get past that.
Subtitles are fine. There's nothing wrong with them.
For some people, they're fine. You know, I'm actually somebody who's like, oh, subtitles, all right. But people kept telling me about this show, and I watched it, and it's just absolutely amazing.
Okay, I'm always down for a good recommendation.
Shtisel, right? Who knew? I'm trying to think what else. I mean, I always watch. I was watching Game of Thrones. I was a Game of Thrones fan. I haven't started Watchmen yet, but I will.
Watchmen is well worth it.
I know. I hear. And it's great.
I mean, now it's all HBO, but I was telling everybody that I am obsessed with Succession.
Oh yeah. I mean, I haven't watched season 2 yet.
Okay.
So
I'm like halfway through season 2.
Okay.
And I know that the end is right around the corner, and I'm already getting very upset about it.
Well, there's going to be more seasons.
There's going to be more, but like we're in a world where you binge, and like you can have all this content at your fingertips. It's like I've forgotten how to wait and be patient.
But I like waiting. I do. It's like it gives you something to look forward to.
Okay.
I don't know. At least for me, like I liked that about Game of Thrones. It was like you talked about it, or Mad Men. You know, you talked about it like all week, or Breaking Bad.
I feel like my ability to wait changes every other day. Right now, I'm very impatient, but tomorrow I might be okay with it.
Yeah. Well, we're an impatient society, I think, and that's why we're so into binging.
That's definitely the case. I definitely have some of that. His next question is, are you a dog or a cat man?
I'm allergic to cats, so dogs, I guess. I don't have a dog. Rachel keeps asking, telling me to get a dog.
Her dogs are something else. They are adorable.
They are. They're fun. But I did promise her if the show got picked up that I would get a dog, and the show got picked up for 2 seasons, and I still have not gotten a dog. Now we're done with the 3rd season.
Oh.
And yeah.
Have you looked into it at all?
Yeah, I've looked at pictures of dogs. I haven't really invested that much time into it, but I will eventually. It's just, I have to, it's tough. It's tough being an actor.
It's a lot.
So, she's able to do it even with 2 dogs, but like I've never had a dog my entire life. I wanted, but my parents wouldn't let me. So yeah, so it's going to take some getting used to, but I will. I promised her, and hopefully someday I will.
It's well worth it. 2 more questions. Actually, 3 more if I'm going to finish his quiz. Your favorite authors?
Well, one of my favorite books has always been Grapes of Wrath. So I like Steinbeck, but I like nonfiction. I read a lot of like biographies of people and like history kind of stuff. Like I really enjoy that. So so there's not like one specific fiction author that I'm just like voraciously reading or anything like that. I'm kind of just all over the place.
If you ever take a break from the biographies, I recommend going to Stephen King.
Oh, no. I mean, I grew up reading Stephen King. Yeah.
I've just been up to my eyeballs in Stephen King's work since the first It movie came out in 2017. And I'm like a huge horror fan. And I had so many people all my life recommend that I read his stuff, but I just didn't read. And all of a sudden I started and I can't stop. No,
I read It when I was in, I think, like 7th or 8th grade. And it freaked me out.
Yeah,
I mean, the book freaks you out. Yeah. But I also liked his like kind of more serious stuff, like the Different Seasons book with Stand By Me and Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
And like I remember reading that, and yeah, I love Stephen King. I was just talking about that the other day. Like he in terms of scary movies, because I don't really enjoy those torture porn kind of movies. I like the Stephen King kind of stuff where there's a story and it just freaks you out.
It's like maximum world building and character development in everything he writes, and that's why it kind of like sinks in and it sticks with you.
Yeah, I never read The Stand.
I still haven't touched that. I'm a little intimidated by it.
It's like 1,000 pages.
It's a big book.
Yeah, but I've always wanted to. I loved the miniseries like years ago. I loved that. So maybe someday I'll get to that.
Right in the middle of Running Man right now.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So far, so good.
I read that.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Favorite baseball team?
Yankees.
Okay, that was an easy one.
No, that's lightning for you. Yeah.
I mean, I'm a Mets person at heart, but I will always root for both New York teams because New York is the best.
Okay.
This is so random. I don't think you're gonna have an answer to this one, but he asks it in the show. Favorite radio shows?
Favorite radio shows?
Maybe favorite.
Little Orphan Annie. I don't know.
Maybe we should update it to like favorite podcast or something.
I'm not even. I don't even really listen to podcasts all that much. I should. I know everybody's always telling me, but I don't. Like when I go to the gym, I just listen to music. People are on the ellipticals listening to podcasts, and I don't know. I don't like to think too much when I'm working out.
I will recommend My Dad Wrote a Porno. I'm actually not a big podcast listener myself, but that is one of the more recent ones that I actually did start listening to after it was recommended to me, and it's hilarious.
But it's not all about his dad writing a porno, right?
No, like it kind of is.
Oh, it is.
They read the porno that his dad wrote, and every single episode is a different chapter.
Oh yeah,
it's pretty hilarious.
Oh wow!
And then they'll have like these little in between episodes where guests come on and just talk about the content. It's good stuff.
God. Okay, well maybe I should do that. Yeah,
it's another thing that'll keep you very busy and brighten your day and probably make the workout a lot easier.
Okay.
All right, we do have to say goodbye. Thank you so much for your time today and for swinging by. Everybody out there, please do not forget to watch The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. It's going to be available season 3 on December 6th. And we might have spoiled some stuff for the prior 2 seasons, but if you haven't seen them, like, what are you waiting for?
Seriously.
Go watch that show. It's phenomenal. Really, you are fantastic in it. Thank you guys so much for watching this interview. Do not leave without liking and sharing it, and we'll see you soon with more of them.